Good evening. It is October 4th, 2024. It is a Friday, and I wanted to do a quick weather update simply because there is a potential for a system to develop this weekend in the next few days that probably will impact the state of Florida. Wanted to get this video out simply because I know during the weekend people have their weekend plans and they may not be watching the weather as they do during the week. This area of disturbed weather is located in the Western Gulf, and it is forecast to move toward the state of Florida. Earlier this week, models had somewhat of a weaker, broader, sloppier system that brought a lot more rain toward the state of Florida. However, the last few days and probably the last 24 hours, models have trended to a more robust and probably a more stronger feature. You're going to see here in a little bit as I bring it up that the models have gotten a little bit more aggressive in what this system may look like. Here's a quick depiction of the European model that shows that area beginning to circulate and beginning to somewhat bundle itself into the Gulf. Now I am going to pause this for a second to kind of illustrate this is somewhat of a 1-2 punch. This system here seems to bundle itself a little bit more near the Bay of Campeche or near the Yucatan Peninsula. However, there is a portion of this system that may kind of break off just before the main system here. This system here, the first system, is probably going to be the system that brings a lot of rain toward the state of Florida. But this system here has become a little bit more interesting as this system looks a little bit more bundled than it had been the last few days. Now that's something that we must keep in mind because a system that is more bundled probably is going to bring more wind impacts and increase the likelihood of some storm surge in certain areas. So we're going to kind of have to watch this and how the things of the system develops over the next few days, because this may become somewhat more of a impactful system as we get further and out into the day. So as we go ahead and bring the system here, you can see that first system begins to move off the state of Florida, and there is a lull somewhere in between on our Tuesday. However, this second system begins to somewhat bundle, and we have somewhat of a bona fide tropical system here, maybe somewhat of a tropical storm, maybe even a weak hurricane impacting the western portion of the state, somewhere near the southwest coast of Florida, or maybe even areas of central Florida. That has yet to been determined, some of the small details. However, the general thinking is the same as we get an area of disturbed weather that moves eastward toward the state of Florida and crosses the peninsula. The GFS also has somewhat of the same signature, showing a system that is a little bit more or less organized than the European. However, the thinking is still the same, showing a system moving across the state of Florida, bringing a lot of rain, some wind, depending on how strong the system may become. Just showing you a quick ensemble to give you kind of somewhat a general idea of a system moving from the Western Gulf across the state of Florida. And this is the GEFS ensembles, and I'll show you also the ECS ensembles as well, where it shows a system in the Western Gulf that moves its way towards Florida. I just wanted to do this quick update just to let everyone know that there is something out there that we must monitor, and it's kind of coming at a bad time during the weekend, as some people probably are not paying attention to the weather, because this can creep up on us. Timing looks to be somewhere up around the beginning of the work week, with that second more robust signature probably somewhere around Wednesday. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on this. Make sure that you're following your latest weather updates, you're keeping tuned to whatever the latest developments are, as this may begin to somewhat ramp up in the intensity as we get toward the beginning of our work week. It's going to be a rainy weekend for Florida regardless, and some of the amounts of rain shows some estimates as high as 8 to 10 inches in certain areas locally. So there's going to be widespread rain, and that rain is simply probably going to come somewhere around Sunday. So if there are any preparations or anything you must do, you may have to implement those a little earlier than what you think. Saturday looks to be a decent weather day in Florida. Maybe the beginning of our Sunday looks to be somewhat decent. However, as we get toward the end of our Sunday, we're going to see that our conditions begin to deteriorate from that first system, and then as we get closer toward our Wednesday, depending on how strong that system is, we may notice a wind increase. So I just wanted to do this quick update just to inform people, to let people know that there is something out there to monitor. Just make sure that you have your phone set up just for any alerts, just in case there are any developments. Have a great weekend and stay weather aware.